Since Friday, Facebook's market value has fallen by about $50 billion. It now faces a possible inquiry by the US Federal Trade Commission. Facebook could be fined up to $40,000 per affected user per day. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Theresa May has also turned up the heat on Facebook and Cambridge Analytica, the company that acquired that user data.
What we have seen in Cambridge Analytica, the allegations are clearly very concerning, and it is absolutely right that they should be properly investigated. It's right that the Information Commissioner is doing exactly that, because people need to have confidence in how their personal data is being used. And I would expect Facebook, Cambridge Analytica and all organisations involved to comply fully with the investigation that's taking place.
Now, in addition to its legal problems, Facebook's own users are now starting to turn against it in large numbers. The hashtag #DeleteFacebook is trending on Twitter, but can you really ditch the Facebook community for good? Mobin Nasser has been trying to go social media cold turkey. This is how he got on.
This isn't the first time Facebook is taking heat for not securing its users' personal information. Bounty hackers, people who try to find weaknesses in platforms like Facebook in return for cash, have been highlighting chinks in its armor for years. But the Cambridge Analytica story has sparked outrage, and many people have taken to social media to express their anger. #DeleteFacebook is trending on Twitter, with many saying they feel betrayed or violated. They're questioning the sale of user information to companies that use it for targeted advertising. And even the likes of WhatsApp founder Brian Atkin, who sold his company to Facebook, is now urging his followers to delete it. So, if that's something you want to do, the first step is saving everything that you already have on the platform. You can do that by going to the Settings tab and clicking on Download a Copy. The download used to begin instantly onto your computer, but now Facebook sends you a verification email and then another email once the content is ready for download. Now that you have all your content, go to the Manage Account tab in Settings and choose Deactivate your account. A few pop-up messages will try to persuade you to stay. If you've made your mind up, go ahead and leave the world's largest online community. Finally, to delete the account, you must log back in and look for Delete in the search bar of the Help section. Now, Facebook says that it can take up to 90 days for all the content to be deleted, and even then, not everything about you is gone. I guess like every long-term relationship, your memory remains long after you're gone.
So let's break down Facebook's woes in a bit more detail now. Our editor-at-large, Craig Peters, joins us from Paris. But first, let's bring in Bob O'Donnell in Las Vegas. He's the research president and chief analyst at technology consultancy firm Technalysis. Bob, great to have you on Money Talks, as always. Bob, if you were advising Facebook right now, what would you be telling them?
Well, look, I mean, they need to get out and talk about what's going on. I mean, the challenge we've seen is that Zuckerberg and Sandberg have been completely absent, and they are very visible personalities. And for them not to be out there and not to be talking about this says a lot of bad things on top of an already bad situation. There's this sense that their egos are so important and they want to devalue their legacy, and they're yet avoiding this enormous worldwide issue. So to me, it's a very serious problem that they haven't gone out there. Supposedly later today, Mark Zuckerberg will finally start to say something, but serious damage has been done, serious trust has been lost, and as you reported, a lot of people are now deleting their accounts, and that is a big problem. And when that starts to happen, right, you're going to see advertisers and then the whole business model take a hit. That's why the stock has lost over $60 billion right in value over the last few days.
Bob, it is what you've outlined there is perhaps what some might say a public relations issue. But don't the issues go rather deeper than that? I mean, some people are already calling for the resignation of Mr. Zuckerberg and Ms. Sandberg. Look, at the heart of the matter is the question of whether Facebook took adequate steps to protect user data. Did it?
Well, clearly not. I mean, obviously, the fact that this sort of thing happened shows that they didn't. And it raises a much bigger issue, which is not just limited to Facebook, but social media in general has become this kind of environment where we are now freely giving away the kind of information that people like the Stasi of the East German secret police used to, capture about people to try and coerce them. Now that kind of work is being done by regular people all the time. Yeah. And this highlights the challenges with data privacy in general. There needs to be much more transparency about this. And this particular case, I think, is going to raise a lot of questions about how to deal with what sort of information is available, how it can be used, who should own it. Frankly, a lot of people are saying, wait a minute, this is my data. Why shouldn't I own it and I benefit from it, not some other corporate entity?
Bob, I'm glad you brought up the issue of East Germany because we all know how that ended. Craig, let me turn it to you. Are we seeing the beginning of the end of Facebook?
Perhaps. Facebook's most valuable asset is the ability to make people believe in things which are not real. Their use of this psychic data harvesting has monetized an individual's fear and fantasies. And I'm not talking about finding out if someone likes to buy Heinz ketchup. Perhaps more important, Facebook created the scaffolding and the superhighways required for politicians and others to leverage this fear and loathing. This has led to this, what we're seeing right now. And what we're seeing is a buyer's remorse over Facebook across the board. But I'm asking Facebook people, hello, how can you have buyer's remorse about something you didn't buy? Facebook was free, and you get what you pay for. Everyone was gazumped here.
Very good point.
And they bought into this fallacy, and this is really important because it goes to the heart of this phenomenon that once upon a time only affected a minority of the population, the ideas of conspiracy theories as a psychic phenomena. Look, Zuckerberg and Sandberg told the Facebook generation that the product belonged to them. One big, happy, global, democratic exchange of ideas and cat photos, and the millennial generation, which undergirds Facebook and gladly extolled its alleged virtues, believed it. Well, guess what? The fat lady is now singing, and it's now time to pay the piper.
Okay. Bob, I want to bring you back in here. You mentioned other social media firms facing possible scrutiny as well. Do these other companies have similar agreements that Facebook does that would allow them to be used as great big mines for data that companies like Cambridge Analytica can go in and dig out?
Absolutely. I mean, Twitter is known to have an analytics service that you can buy into to gather information about it. Think about it. Google, all of these companies for search, all of these free services that we were just talking about, are supported by advertising. And the way they can do the advertising is by targeting it. We've been talking about this notion of highly targeted, personalized advertising forever. Well, guess what? Again, yes, it is time to pay the piper. And this is fundamentally the challenge. Yes, it is free, but there has been an assumption by people that it would not be used in these kind of ways. So that's what's really changed here is all of a sudden there's a recognition of how this data can be used, and that's what's going to change the regulations, I think.
We're almost out of time, gentlemen, but one very quick question to you both. Bob first. The FTC is looking at a possible fine of $40,000 per user per day. That's going to run into the billions. Are they going to face that big a fine, or is it going to be a lot less, do you think?
It's hard to say. They're clearly, something is going to have to be done because government entities, especially because politicians themselves are actually being impacted by this, I think they're going to make a big example out of this one. So I do expect them to see a big fine.
Craig?
No, they're not. The fine is precisely $41,484 per user, and it's only for violations of sections of certain acts. The largest fine in the history of the FTC is $168 million. Chump change.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Craig Kapitis in Paris and Bob O'Donnell of Technalysis in Las Vegas. Thank you both very much indeed.